Hello to everyone, I am Andrea Menghini from Geomax Support and Training Team, and today I will present you the MEP functionality and BIM functionality directly from this room. Okay, Francesco, you can shift directly to the presentation. Okay, so starting from since the launch of the last service pack, so for the user who already have an expert license activated, we can of course import the BIM, work with the BIM module directly with TPS and GNSS modules, but also the user who purchase also the TPS robotic license can work with the MEP functionality, so the mechanical electronic and plumbing functionality. For the user who has an expert license expired, is just need to reactivate license to order a renewal of the expert license in order to have also these new modules, this new functionality. Then directly from the XPAD Ultimate software, we have two different possibilities to import the BIM file, so the EFC file directly from the job page or from the CAD page. And then once imported the BIM file, of course depends on the file, we can manage the different layers of the BIM module, BIM file, directly from the CAD, directly switching off the different entities of the BIM file. Then some tools dedicated to the BIM file. Directly from CAD, we can have the possibility to create the point directly on the surface, to create the line directly on the surface, the contour line on the surface, or to create the polylines, so horizontal and vertical section, starting from a reference elevation or from two different points for the vertical section. Other functionality dedicated to the robotic TPS are the functionality that you can find on the MEP module, MEP menu. So from this menu, is it possible to create some plumb point, parallel line scan, level point, or distance and offset. What does it mean? It means, for example, if we want to create directly a plumb point starting from the reference ground or of reference roof, we can directly measure the points, then directly project the points on the different plane. But we will see directly live in a few minutes. Other possibility is to select a level point, and starting from a reference elevation, we can directly measure a point and then move the TPS to the random position that can be vertical or horizontal, and automatically the software, TPS will redirect to the corresponding point position. Parallel line. So parallel line is a functionality that allows us to work with a reference line, and starting from the reference line we can directly define the corresponding parallel line by defining an offset. Distance and offset is a functionality quite similar to the layout functionality that we have on CAD, but in that case we can work directly in 3D, we can work directly for example, with the facade. So we can start from one point, so we measure one starting point, and then we can define horizontal and vertical offset. So in that case we can directly create in 3D some drawing, some points that we can use directly on field to stick out or to create some 3D elements. Other MEP functionality is the line scan functionality. Line scan functionality can work with a horizontal scan, can work with a vertical scan, or with a slope scan. So directly on field we can create the section starting from the reality. So we can directly set the TPS inside the room, like we are doing now, and directly create horizontal and vertical section. So with the robotic TPS we can automatically define this 2D drawing. Okay, let's move directly live in our demo room. Okay, perfect. So now you can see in real time the room from the camera, but also the XPAD Ultimate software in the same page. So continue, we will directly start XPAD, create a new job that we can call, for example, MEP. Perfect. The current setting, so the current instrument is the Zoom 95, so the instrument that we have here. Then we can directly move, for example, to the MEP functionality. So we can start with an orientation already performed, or we can start an orientation, and then we can use the mechanical, electronic, and plumbing functionality from the corresponding menu. So what we can have here, for example, plumb point. How we can use this functionality? We can directly select plumb point, and then the software will show us how we can perform this functionality. So, for example, measure the first point. I will also select laser pointer in order to allow you to visualize the laser pointer. Now, what we are trying to do, we are trying to project this point from the ground floor directly on the roof. So, I can select measure, and then I can select randomly the position on the different planes. So in that case, I can also move the laser beam to a completely different position. So it's not the corresponding position, and what I can do, I can measure the TPS will automatically rotate to the corresponding projection point. And now, for example, we can directly use this point to create a new setup for illumination, for the lamp. Okay, and this can be used from the ground to the roof, or from the roof to the ground. Then, level point, how we can use this functionality? We can enter manually a reference elevation, so in that case we must confirm, we must set up an elevation for the TPS, or we can directly measure the point. In that case, I can measure, for example, the point on the wall. For example, here we can set up 2 different pictures. Also on the other side of the wall, we can set up different pictures on the same level. We can measure the first point, then define more or less, start to define the random position for the second points. And for example, we want to create another picture on the same level, but on a different wall. I can select, so I can move in the elevation the points, I can select measure, and automatically the point will be projected in the corresponding elevation. So right now we can set up 2 different pictures on the same level of the wall, where, for example, we can use this projection point in order also to create some other tools, for example, for the illumination, for the electricity tools. So directly on field we have this possibility. Another possibility that we have directly here is the option to create parallel line. So imagine that, for example, we want to create some shell directly on field, so in the construction site, or to create also something more directly from field. We can use parallel line. We can set up horizontal or vertical parallel line. Okay, just to give you an example. Measure reference point, second point, and now we can enter the value for the delta or for the offset. That, for example, can be 1 meter. Now enter the value and select offset measure mode. I can move just a little bit the TPS, measure the randomly position, so here we are, and automatically the TPS will adjust 1 meter difference in offset elevation. And of course we can also do the same for the delta. Another possibility that we have directly on field is to use the distance and offset functionality. How we can work with this functionality is quite similar to the layout functionality that we have on CAD. Using this functionality we can work on 3D, but we can enter also elevation. In that case, this functionality can be used, for example, measure the first point, the first reference point. Now we can use the joystick to move on left or to the left or to the right, or up and down. Okay, for example, 0.5 meter in elevation, 0 in horizontal, so only the vertical. Now we can select up or down. If I select up, of course we will be moved 50 centimeters in elevation. Now, for example, I can select 0 and 1 meter to the right side. And here we are. Okay, sorry, it's on a different plane. Measured. So this functionality is quite useful if you want to set up something in 3D and project it to different wall. Okay, directly on field we can use this functionality to project on a wall and to draw directly in 3D. Then, last functionality available from MEP menu is the live scan. How we can work with a live scan? The live scan can be used with a horizontal scan, horizontal fast, slope scan, vertical scan, or vertical scan automatically. So, for example, horizontal scan can be used by enter first of all the direction, from left to the right, from the right to the left, or from two different measurement points. So we can define the range. Then point to scan, count. So how many points we can create in this particular distance, or how many points we want to create from the left to the right or from the right to the left. Second possibility is the horizontal scan. Same, we need to define a direction, to the left, to the right, to the right, to the left. We can define a range by measuring two different points, and then we can set the distance. So in that case, we can create an horizontal section, and we can define to measure 1 point every 10 centimeters. So, for example, first point can be here, from the left, sorry, to the right, 10 centimeters, measure. Automatically TPS will start to measure the first point, then move to the second position, then automatically move to the other plane. And of course also here the point will be adjusted to the corresponding plane vertex. Of course, what we can do more, we can increase the scanning. So for example, from 10 centimeters we can select 20 centimeters, or we can skip 1 point in case you have some obstacle in between. Then after scanning the entire room, we can select stop, and we can stop here, continue scanning, or refuse the line scan. Stop here. So we can easily complete the horizontal section for the corresponding setup and automatically upset. Do you want to scan? Do you want to save the current scan? Yes. Do you want to perform a new live scan? No. And automatically on CAD we will have also the section already measured. Okay, live scan. Other possibility that we have, we can create a slope scan or a vertical scan. For the vertical scan, we have two different possibilities. Sorry, we have different possibilities. We can select up and For example, we need to define the first point. We can define two visual points, so basically we can select the range, starting point, last point, from down, different direction, and of course we can define the scanning distance. For example, vertical scan along one direction. Again, I can select the starting point, I can select the distance between the point, and for example I can select every 20 centimeters. Then start, measure the first point, and automatically the DPS will move to the second point. Measure the offset point, so just to be here. Okay. So now we set up the starting point and the last point, and automatically the TPS will start to rotate and to measure the same point, to measure the point on the line with the same distance between the points. Of course, also here we can select plus, increase the scanning distance. We can select skip in case we have some obstacle in between. Let's skip a little bit. We can reduce also the scanning distance, and again the TPS will move to different plane, measure also here the different plane, and here we have also the vertical section. So we can continue also to draw the entire section for the current room. In case we can also stop, as we did before, we can stop here, continue scan, or refuse the current live scan. I can select stop, and also in this case the drawing will be directly saved inside my job. Upset, do you want to save the current line? Yes. Do you want to perform a new live scan? No. Now in CAD, if I move in 3D, I can easily find my, of course, starting sections, but I can add the vertical section, the horizontal section. So once I will export my file, everything will be already done from field. Let's move instead to the BIM functionality. Again, I can create a new job. I can call it BIM upset. And now, as I told you, we have two different possibilities to import the EFC file. Of course, the EFC file must be prepared in advance, and depending on the entities, we can manage the different entities stored on the project. So, first of all, we can import the EFC file from the job menu by selecting external references, add EFC, so Industrial Foundation Classes file. Other possibility is to move to the CAD menu, open the project manager, and from the project manager move to the external reference page. From the external reference page you can select add, and again, same operation, import the EFC file. We can of course import the EFC file from the current folder, so from the inside folder of the device, or we can select the cloud, import from cloud, or we can directly import from the XPath 365 platform by downloading the file from the storage area. So in that case I can import the project for the current room. Then I can move back. I can move the project in 3D. I can easily rotate. I can easily also zoom in the project. What we have here is the current room with two doors and the windows on the other side. Now we have different possibilities to work with the BIM file. We can directly manually select the points. We can manually create the points on the vertices of the BIM file. We can create points automatically from the surfaces of the BIM file, or we can create the section. How we can work with this functionality? I can directly use the cube. I can directly use the cube, select draw points, and here starting point name. For example, BIM new points 1. Okay, and then we can define the snap. The snap, of course, can be useful for all the entities we have in the card, or the entities we already measured or we already drew. So close, and 1 point, second point, third. So I can directly create the point for the corresponding project. Okay, here we are. Okay. Other possibility that we have, I can directly zoom in and select, for example, draw BIM tools functionality. As you can see there, we can use point from surface, line from surface in order to create also the line for the vertices from the vertex of the surfaces, horizontal and vertical section. Now we can start to define the points automatically. So select the surface and OK. Now you can see a preview of the points based on the vertices of the surface. Okay, and then we can enter the starting name and the corresponding layout. And automatically we have here all the points created on this surface. Okay, let's for example set up the station. So now we can directly move to survey, station setup, and now we can define the position of the TPS. So also in this procedure we are guided by the software. Do you know the station setup? Yes or no? No, we don't know the station setup. This must be calculated. Next, free station. Now, what we can do here, we can directly enter manually the instrument height. We can measure the instrument height, or we have the possibility to measure a reference point in order to calculate remotely the TPS elevation. In that case, I can select, I can move forward. Okay, aim the first reference point. Okay, how we can do it? We can directly select the reference point. Okay, TPS battery is too low, but we can also continue. And we can select it from topographic point, from CAD, or from reference point. For example, I can move to the CAD. I can also rotate in 3D. Okay, the first point can be the BIM new one. Now I can directly move the laser beam to corresponding points. I can also move the corresponding point in the intersection of the two planes and measure. Okay, now we need to start to define a second point. Again, I can move to CAD, 3D. I can easily rotate my project, BIM 007. So in that case, this is the point in the other side of the room, again on the ground floor, and the intersection of the two different planes. Now I just need to start to aim the angle, measure, and here we are. So we can accept the setup like it is, or we can add a new point. So in that case, we can also again move in CAD, select the point photographic point, and automatically the TPS will move to the points in the other side of the room. And we can directly aim the points here. horizontal is not so correct, but this depends also on the setup. If we are too close to the reference point, we can accept the setup and directly start to work with the BIM file directly on field. How we can do it? We can directly move to the CAD, again rotate in 3D, and we can start, for example, to measure the point on this specific surface. Okay, so again from CAD we have the directly option to stake out and redirect you. This option will redirect you directly to the stake out menu. We can move also in the tracking mode. We can move it also in the tracking mode and start to measure the points. Measure. And here you can directly find the surface. We can directly track and stake out the surface. And on the left side of the device, you will have the information about the distance between the BIM and the corresponding, so on the reality. So on the corresponding point measured on the reality. Then again, in tracking mode, we can of course measure and move and check also the point on the other side of the surface. So as you can see, we have few millimeter distance from the surface. Okay, we can also 3 mm stop and accept. And I can also store the points. Other tools that we can use from the BIM model is the possibility to create the section. So draw. Draw option, BIM tools, and in this case I just want to create the horizontal section for the current BIM project. Horizontal section. Now we can enter manually the elevation, or we can directly select one point as a reference point. Again, the software is asking us if we want to create also the lines for the section and the corresponding layers, points, starting name for the points and the corresponding layer. This is a preview about the sections, about the lines of the section. So 20 lines will be created, okay, and the points, we have thousands of points, but of course this depends on the entities, this depends on the vertices of the model. So like this we easily create the sections, but also the points. So now if I switch off the BIM model, you will easily see that we have all the points. You can also visualize the closest point with a bigger label. And here we have also the points. So I can directly select the points. We are okay. Stake out the points. How many points we have here? Okay. We can select stake out. We can also select the line and stake out the line, only the segment, or also the polyline. So we can also stake out the object, the reference line, or we can use as before the points and stake out the points created directly from the BIM file. So as you can see, with those robotic functionality, it's quite easy to work with the BIM and the MEP functionality directly on field. And this allows us also to improve our efficiency directly on field and create some 2D, some 3D drawing directly live on field. Okay, if you want to see something else, we are at disposal. You can directly write us in chat and ask for something, also to ask us some question, and we will reply live. Of course, we are also at disposal, so in case you need something else, you can directly write to us an email, so academy@gmaximizingpositioning.com. Okay, Francesco, do we have any question from the attendees?
Okay, let me check, Andrea. Yes, the first question is about the availability of these two modules on all the licenses, means probably the licenses that are installed already more than 1 year ago without...
Okay, so this refers of course to the expert. If the expert is not more valid, so if it's expired, you can directly reorder the expert, and I can also show you the procedure. So after order the expert license, you can directly move to the expert license page, and here you have the possibility to update the license. So by using this functionality, you can easily update your license, and all the new modules, of course also the expert, will be updated, and the new modules will automatically come to your license system. So automatically updated, and you can start to work with it. Okay.
So the second question, Andrea, is about the MEP module. We haven't seen any station setup before the use of the module. Is it something correct? Do we need to perform the setup or not?
Okay, in that case, I use the MEP functionality without any kind of orientation, but of course you can use all the functionality from the station setup. Okay, all the functionality available from the station setup with a different orientation, and work with the MEP functionality. So you can also work, of course, you can work with the correct orientation. The demo was just to show you the functionality, but not the orientation.
Yeah, but I think that is also a very strong point, the possibility of place the total station everywhere without any kind of existing coordinate system, and therefore use and perform all the functionalities of the MEP.
Yes, Francesco, thanks. Yes, exactly. We can directly set up the TPS inside the room, start to create our section, start to create our other mechanical and plumbing functionality, and directly save everything inside the Expert Ultimate job. So is everything inside? In case you need to perform any station setup, you can directly work without any kind of orientation.
Okay, and there we have another question regarding the BIM module. Once you create the point and the line we have seen in the section and the creation of the points, are those points stored into the EFC file?
No, those points are stored directly in the current Expert Ultimate file. In case if you need to work with a BIM file, you have to do it externally. We don't have the possibility to create a BIM file, but we can import a EFC file and create all the output for the pointer, on the surfaces, also on the section line, or on the surface line, contour line. So we can directly create all this output in field and directly work with a BIM file, and like we did, we can directly check from the project if one of the wall is in the corresponding position, or if you have some divergency.
Okay, another question regarding the BIM module. So the question is it possible to calculate the surface of the BIM from the BIM surface? So the side, I think it's a question regarding the sides of the surfaces present in the BIM files.
No, in that case we cannot calculate the entire surface here, but we have the possibility to move from the CAD, select the area, and automatically have the area calculated also with the label of the area. Otherwise, the other possibility that we have, we can directly measure the size of the wall directly from CAD by selecting the two different points from the object or the vertices of the object. So after creating the section, we can easily measure the distance by the vertices of the object, and of course creating also the area that can be horizontal or vertical.
Okay, another question is regarding the size of the BIM files. I think in this case it's the size of the file.
Of the model.
Yeah, of the model.
Yeah, okay. In that case, it is strictly related to the hardware capability. Of course, in case you need to work in field with an oversized BIM file, you must be prepared also on that side. So, also the hardware capability must be considered. But of course, if you are working with a big BIM project, you can also import it and switch off the single entities. So in that case, you can work, you can create a section, you can create the output only for the references, for the entities of the BIM file that you can visualize. So in that case, you can also optimize the visualization, reduce the entities that you don't want to visualize, or you don't need to visualize, for example, for the wall or for the other building information, and visualize only the entities on which you need to work directly in field.
Okay, so we have no more questions. Andrea, thanks a lot for your presentation. Please, to all our followers, remember that in any case you have the possibility to send us additional questions directly to support@gmx-positioning.com.
Yeah, and of course the video of the presentation of this webinar will be directly available on our website, and you will receive an email in 2 days from which you can also have the link for the video registration. So thanks again, Francesco, thanks to all of you, and see you in the next webinar. Ciao!
Thanks, Andrea. Bye.
Thanks for watching.